Welcome to Oddball. I'm Amin Elhassan. That over there is Izzy Gutierrez. He's in Miami. I'm in Los Angeles, where I witnessed the Los Angeles Lakers tie up the series 1-1 after beating the Wolves 94-85. Izzy, it was exactly as I foretold.
But before we get into the basketball talk, I'm curious what the feel was like in the arena. Like, was this, make or break? Did it feel like a whole lot of tension there for the Lakers because they lost game one?
They were definitely, there was an energy in the building. The crowd knew that this was a must-have. The players knew they came out with, you saw the game, they came out with a large lead, and they played a first half of basketball that I thought was exactly what JJ Redick had in mind when they played game one, which is we're going to be moving the ball, we're going to move in bodies, and we're going to be aggressive defensively, and we're going to be physical, and we're going to make sure that the refs are keeping the Wolves at bay, so to speak. And what happened, right, in game one, the Wolves were able to be very physical, didn't have to do a lot of help defense. Because of that, the Lakers really couldn't get the Wolves defense into rotation. Everything was on one. You get Luka with 38 points, but only 1 assist. And that was, to me, Minnesota's game plan to a T. But I foretold the refs were going to let them shenanigans go again. And so you get some foul calls. Now guys are a little reticent to touch. Now we're scrambling. Now we're in help. Now we're rotating. And now the Lakers were getting their stuff done, at least in the first half.
This is one of the things that's bugging me. Last year, it bothered me because the refs clearly made a point of the season, clearly made a distinction. Hey, we're going to start or stop calling as much. We're not going to, do all the James Harden calls or everything that's a little nudge. If it's marginal, we're just going to let it go. So that sort of changed, and teams were forced to get adjusted to it into the playoffs. Now, there wasn't much of a change during the regular season. It's just boom, playoffs start, we're not calling anything. And that bugs me a lot of the time because I'd prefer it to where it was last year, where at least you can, what was it with the old salary cap, smooth versus the spike or whatever. Yeah. I'd prefer if you sort of smooth that over and let me know, hey, over time, these foul calls are not going to happen. And so I can get used to it. But when you start these playoffs right away, and it's just like, man, I'm not getting any fouls. Nobody's getting any calls. And you can, the referees anyway, can control the game in the way that you're saying, hey, we already know this team's going to come out, be more physical or we already know this team has a lot of complaints about the last game. So we're going to adjust that. And it's almost like predictable. Like you said, it's like, I don't like that they changed the whistle blowing right when the playoffs start. I would at least like it to be a little bit more like the regular season.
So regular season versus playoffs aside, isn't that the history of the NBA? Where one team gets a benefit of whistle and then the press conferences are all about, I can't believe, da-da-da. And then we come back the next game and there's a correction, a market correction, which is always funny to me because it's not the same referees. It's not a market correction because the league says they're right. We didn't give them any calls. Let's do it another way. It's literally different people coming in and they don't know what happened last game. They're just coming in and they're reffing the game the way they see it. And that's where you see those discrepancies. But I, for one, enjoy the physicality. I like that guys are having to fight harder to get baskets. It's gotten a little too easy because you've got guys doing all this. So I like it. I think it's interesting to say, should the regular season be officiated like this as well? That's the question.
Well, what I see is referees clearly seeing fouls, but what they consider marginal changes from regular season to postseason, in large part because of how hard everybody's playing. You're not playing this hard during the regular season, so things look a little different. So on that note, like if I'm Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves, I'm like, as Julius Randle said on the bench in game one, we're doing exactly what we came in here to do. And they did that. And now with a little bit of a help from an adjusted referees and an adjusted, approach from the Lakers, the series is tied now, but they now have home court advantage going into Minnesota feeling like, hey, I know we can do what we want to do. It's just a matter of a few more shots are falling and if a couple more whistles go our way. And at home, that probably will happen.
That's the weirdest thing about this series, because after 2 games, I listened to Chris Finch speak, I listened to JJ Redick speak, and after 2 games, both of them seem really confident that their game plan as is devised coming into the series is perfect. Like, oh no, we got it right where we wanted. There's this quote Rachel Nichols got from Anthony Edwards saying that the Wolves should go into Game 3 smiling, considering the way they fought back in tonight's game. And it's true. I actually talked about it with some guys with the Wolves after the game. I said, this is kind of the progression of a team, the maturity of a team is when you know there's 2 or 3 games in the playoffs where you're going to win a game that you had no business winning, right? Mm-hmm. And last night, the Wolves, when they made that comeback in the fourth quarter, they were on the cusp of winning a game that by all rights, the way they had played their prior 40-plus minutes, they had no business winning. Now, you get a big LeBron steal, and then the stems are tied, and then the Lakers push the lead back open. And if you're the Wolves, you say, look, we got the split. Like you said, we came for a split, we got the split. But these are the learning moments of, hey, when that opportunity comes again, we can't drop those. We got to steal those.
Well, I'm curious what they learned about Rudy Gobert in this series, because a lot of the talk going in was Luka talking about, hey, I'd like to match up with Rudy Gobert. And the fact that Luka needed bigs, right? But they're barely playing Jackson Hayes. So they're trying to, I guess, play Rudy off the floor that way. And you're saying, you believe that the hunting for Rudy Gobert is not good for the Lakers, that might end up being their demise.
Yeah, so the first half, like I said, the Lakers were moving, the ball was moving, people were moving, they were running their offense, they looked great. The second half, they seemed to be fascinated with attacking the Rudy matchup, which will always breed a highlight or two. We're like, oh, but overall last night, a lot of people are like, oh, Rudy Gobert, I can't believe, he got played off the floor. Last night, I thought he did a great job defensively for the most part in terms of making things difficult. Now, if I want to be hypercritical of Rudy, I would say you're 7 feet tall, 7'2" with a 7'9" wingspan. Stop reaching. Because to me, the optimal thing, whether it's Luka, whether it's Austin Reeves or LeBron, if they want to take that pull-up, you have the advantage of using your length to stay back, and when they want to pull up, I can close the gap and get that contest up. It's crazy to me that Victor Wembanyama is 20 years old and does this better than Rudy. Meanwhile,
I'm so
Rudy,
glad you said his name.
Dude, Rudy was trying to reach, like he's trying to poke away the ball. Like, bro, you're not Jimmy Butler. I don't understand
this. And Rudy's the captain of this, but 7-footers have this tendency. It's like, first of all, you're not a guard, so just stop reaching. And the idea, it's a competitiveness, like he gets in his feelings a little bit, especially Rudy, because, oh, you're not a great defender, we're going to get you off. He's like, watch me get this steal. Wow. And it's a foul. Just stay back there, man. You're always going to have that strength. It is never going to go away if you just stand tall. And it's just it's overly competitive. It's probably all the talk, right, that's come about him. And if you compare him to Victor Wembanyama, Victor doesn't give a what people say about him, mostly because it's all good, but he doesn't. And so that he doesn't have to worry about proving anybody that he can do this as a guard. And so Rudy needs to sort of talk to Vic about that and say, don't worry about all that crap. You're 7'2". You're always going to be 7'2".
Yeah, no, and to be fair, Naz Reid did it a bunch of times. Jaden McDaniels did it. There's a lot of reaching in moments where, guys, you have your length, you could do that. But I want to talk about something else, Izzy, from last night, because I'm watching LeBron. And it was in the second half, and I want to say it was Julius Randle, don't quote me, but he big-bodied someone, has a wide open, maybe a 5 or 6 foot jumper, and he airballs it. And then offensive rebound, they get it back to LeBron, and it's like an 8 foot, it's inside the free throw line, and he comes up short on that one. And then he came up short on the layup, and he came up short on a 3-point attempt. And then there was this big fast break opportunity with Austin Reeves and LeBron as a 2-on-1 break, and Austin Reeves threw that mother so high. It was like that. Do you see that video of the guy in the minor leagues who hits the homer and then does a bat flip? And the bat flip literally comes into frame of the home run hit. It was like that. I was like, who are you throwing? You think Sean Kemp is flying in here? The guy's got no legs. He's 40 years old. And so, Izzy, I learned later on that there's been a groin tweak that happened to LeBron late in the regular season. Can the Lakers expect to have a deep playoff run if you're running these guys ragged like this?
So LeBron already looks like this, so no. 76 minutes in games 1 and 2. Luka, 82 minutes in games 1 and 2, and he looks fine. But did you see them in the finals last year, looking exhausted, trying to defend the Boston Celtics? They're not going to make it out of this round with that type of workload, much less 4 rounds. So, yeah, to answer the question, should the Timberwolves be feeling good? Absolutely. They're deeper than the Lakers are right now, and they've got home court advantage. So I've still got the Wolves in 6 on this one.
All right, let's move on to the Eastern Conference, Bucks versus Pacers. The Pacers took care of business at home and is now a 2-0 lead after they beat the Bucks 123-115. And this is after the Bucks rallied late in the fourth quarter to cut the lead to 2, but they could not complete the task. And Izzy, I think the one thing that we can say definitively about the in-season tournament / NBA Cup, it gave us one rivalry in the NBA, one new rivalry.
Bucks-Pacers rivalry we've all been waiting for.
Hate each other. They do not like each other. Like, and it's all because of Oscar Tshiebwe. That's my favorite part about all this. It all started with Oscar Tshiebwe.
You got to remind everybody who that is.
Okay, so the Pacers have a kind of tradition that when someone scores their first NBA points, they get the game ball, right? Oscar Tshiebwe, who, by the way, scored his first NBA points in the NBA Cup final, but because that is the 83rd game, those stats don't count. So technically, he didn't score his first NBA points. So then, soon after the NBA Cup, in which the Pacers beat the Bucks, by the way, the Pacers play the Bucks. Game ends. Oscar Tshiebwe scored his first points in that game. They got the game ball. They give it to him. Problem is, that's the game where Giannis scored his career high. And so it became this big fight over who gets the game ball. And what started with an NBA Cup, like a little, oh yeah, okay, so you guys beat us in this, you guys beat us in this made up tournament, right? That the league just started.
Right.
Bled over to our next game where it's like, you're stealing the game ball. And now it's like, okay, here we go. We don't like each
64
other.
64 points in that game. Career high 64 from Giannis, but give the ball to Oscar. So there's that. But there's also Tyrese Halliburton in a player poll by The Athletic, voted the most overrated player in the league, which, as we both agree, that's just the most disliked player in the league.
I don't
right?
like you. That's my favorite thing. When you ask players who's overrated, they're not doing like a technical kind of like, well, you know, it is 100% emotion. It's like, I don't like that.
I can't
dude.
stand Patrick Beverly.
Exactly.
Worst.
Right. So, and it's like the top 3 guys are Tyrese Halliburton, Rudy Gobert, Trae Young. It's like this is the holy trinity of like guys, NBA guys hate for some reason.
But I love that. And whether it's the NBA Cup that created it for us or what, but here you've got what we would say before the series started, a candidate for the NBA TV series, right? Bucks and Pacers. Yeah. But yet you've got 2 very sort of irritants as stars. When Tyrese, we've already talked about, talks smack on the court and away from the court. Go look up the Tim Hardaway stuff that he talked about. And we've got Giannis, who's one of the biggest agitators in the league. Didn't he just do what's-his-face's dance right in front of him, Malik Beasley?
Yeah, he did the Beasley shimmy in front of Beasley. Meanwhile, you got Halliburton.
This series for me, I love it.
Dude, Halliburton doing the Dame time thing repeatedly yesterday. I was so like, good. It's literally, it's all of it, right? It's, like you said, this makes this series so much more interesting. And also, that's why you were number 1 on this poll. That's why I didn't like your ass. Oh, man,
I do want to check in real quick with Doc Rivers, because he seems to be feeling good about this series.
Yeah.
We'll just see. You know, we have time. We have 48 hours. I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing right now because I don't know. You know, but we'll figure it out. I'm very confident about this series. Very.
I
mean, I got a follow-up question for Doc. Why? Why so confident, Doc?
What are the questions?
No. I'm asking you, Doc.
You want Doc? Okay. Sorry. Well, I mean,
why so confident?
Look, I mean, I've got the best player in the series, and you know, Dame, he's not 100% yet. He's getting there though. We're getting him there, and pretty much everything that just kind of extends any sort of goodwill that I have, I'm here for it. Look, hey, they did what they were supposed to do. They held serve. Now it's up to us to hold serve. And by the way, so there was a guy at the press conference, and he said it's a short series now. I disagree. I think it's a long series. Well, I don't know why, because we've already played 2 games. We could be up 2-0 right now. It would still be a short series, but no, it's a long series according to me.
One more follow-up question, Coach. Is it Kyle Kuzma's fault?
It's absolutely Kyle Kuzma's fault. Look, let's get one thing clear. When this ship goes down, and it's going to go down, I'm not taking the blame. Jan's not taking the blame. Dave's not taking the blame. Kuzma's taking the blame. He's the one. Hey, he's the one that showed up. That's our Kuz.
New nickname, Cardio Kuz. It's because he's just out there for cardio. All right, Doc, you can take the rest of the night off. Right. I know it hurts your throat. We got Grizzlies Thunder. The Thunder beat the Grizzlies. The breaks off of them again. They didn't have any breaks to begin with. 118 to 99.
They got it down to under 20.
It wasn't the worst game ever. Right. They're up 2-0. Ja Morant couldn't quite get it going. He was 10 for 25, which reminded me of a tweet that I saw last night. I mean,
oh, come on! Did someone actually tweet that?
Ja Morant when I bet on him, and it's Amin's.
Did someone actually tweet that?
That's an actual tweet.
Someone that not someone who works on this show. Because that's
somebody affiliated with this program
Juju,
in any way.
Not you, right?
Unless this is Juju Burner's account. It was a completely random person who knows your jump shot.
It's funny that the producers are saying in the chat. Yes, someone tweeted it. No, it's a random person. His name is Nimad. All right. Well, look, I glass half full. All right. So we didn't go down by 50. That's an improvement. Again, and like John said,
is this good for the Grizz? This is bad for the Grizzlies. Like they made the coaching change and they're getting worse, and now it's going to feel like Ja's just going to walk his way out the door.
Maybe that was what they wanted all along. Right? That was my conspiracy theory. Is that why you fired Taylor Jenkins 2 weeks ago in the season? Why do you fire Michael Malone with 3 games left in the season? It's not because you're like, this is a last-ditch effort to save our season. Rather, I'm worried that they end up having an amazing run and then I can't get rid of him. I've already made up my mind I want to get rid of him. We heard the rumors about Michael Malone before the season. Taylor Jenkins had his whole assistant coaching staff fired and replaced, not at his discretion, right? These are teams that were getting ready to make changes to their coaching staff to their head coaching position. So I think that, this is exactly what they wanted because they did not want Taylor Jenkins to be successful.
Well, the losing team is getting more attention here, but on the winning team, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander not exactly playing well. He struggled to start the playoffs. He says, I feel like I'm getting good looks that I usually make. I'm just missing them. It's part of basketball, ups and downs. We were talking earlier about the officiating being different, though. Is this a matter of Shai needing to get adjusted to the new officiating? Or is it like he says, hey, we're winning by a ton. It's just basketball. It'll go back to normal once we get into normal games.
My favorite part about this entire Shai Gilgeous-Alexander conversation is going into these playoffs, up till even a week ago, the predominant question mark about the Thunder is everything depends on Shai. Shai's got to do everything. What do they do if Shai's taking out of the game plan? What if Shai's not Shai? What do they do? Is J-Dub going to step up? I don't think J-Dub can step up. Chet Holmgren, maybe, but there were all these question marks about their supporting cast. And so Shai has 2 stinkers games by his standards. And the Thunder roll, right? They're amazing. Everyone does their job in a superlative fashion. And now, instead of saying, wow, this is a complete team, they're going to win the championship, we're like, what's wrong with Shai? Oh, I can't know this shit. Maybe the playoffs, maybe the refereeing, the officiating.
Now all of a sudden he's getting this conversation of, jump in with Jason Tatum. Your team's too good for you to fail. You're not really that good. I don't really buy that, especially not with SGA. With Tatum, maybe. With SGA, not so much. But we got headlines coming up in the next segment.
Welcome back to Oddball. Amin Elhassan in LA, Izzy Gutierrez in Miami. And you know what time it is, Izzy? It's time for the news. Hit me with some headlines. The headlines is presented by Remy Martin. 1738 Accord Royal. Exceptionally smooth cognac for all your game day festivities. Please drink responsibly. All right, so this is the game where me and Izzy pretend that we work on Weekend Update. And we give you guys headlines and pithy remarks afterwards.
You kick us off, Amin.
Okay, sure thing. All right, let's start with Nico Harrison in his end of year media availability with the press that was open to all the press and not just selected press that was allowed to be broadcast and recorded, said, quote, he didn't know how much Dallas fans loved Luka. Yes. And this is like saying, quote, I didn't know how much Teenage Ninja Turtles love pizza. Like, it's literally the only thing you know about them is that they love Luka.
Well, in a game between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Los Angeles Lakers, Anthony Edwards was fined $50,000 for telling a heckler at that game, quote, my d is bigger than yours. When contacted, the heckler said, sir, I'm 7 years old.
Oh,
so I guess it makes sense, right?
Come on,
probably
man.
True.
By the way, you know what my favorite thing about that thing was when, as he's rattling off all the reasons his life is better, he says, Rudy's made $200 million, and Rudy corrects him. It says 300. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Has Rudy made $300 million? All right. The results
why are you heckling this little kid?
Yeah, that's all right. The results are in, and Giannis led the NBA in dunks for the third year in a row, and we learned this from this handy-dandy graphic that has all the dunk leaders through the basically the most recent time since like 1988. But I have so many things that I'm so fascinated by with this chart. Number one is we couldn't be bothered to update anybody. So Blake Griffin, the 2 years he led the league in dunks, yeah, he's wearing a Celtics jersey. Why not? Shaq, yeah, he's wearing a Laker jersey in 92 and 93. The other thing I found really interesting about this chart is that, yes, Giannis is now three-peated. The last guy to three-peat was Rudy Gobert. So is this really something you want to be proud of? I don't know.
In more basketball news, Jimmer Fredette announced his retirement.
Oh.
Jimmer Fredette. If you don't know who Jimmer Fredette is, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to give you news about another short white guy. Peyton Pritchard won Sixth Man of the Year.
Oh.
Hey, there's real news right there. Nobody needs to know who Jimmer Fredette is. He never made it in the NBA.
It's crazy because I'm thinking about Jimmer Fredette. He's retired and he's probably got his family members like, hey, what are all the shows? Are they mentioning it? And they're like, no, nothing on NBA did nothing. No.
This one guy made a Peyton Pritchard joke.
Yeah, it's like, oh, Oddball. Oh, wow. Okay, well, let's cue it up, right? And then they hear the Peyton Pritchard joke. And after hearing you say, he didn't matter. Jimmer Fredette didn't matter. He never made it in the NBA. Sir, he had several cups of coffee.
I mean, then he's wired, but he didn't do anything in the NBA. I mean, look, he was a big name because he was a short white guy. And we were like, oh, can he make it in the league? Nope, didn't happen. All right, let's move on. All right, speaking of moving on, prop a slot. Yeah, okay.
Prop a slot presented by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about everything DraftKings has to offer throughout the rest of the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. All right, so you guys know the rules. We get real prop bets generated by this real slot machine. And we have to pick one. If we skip, we have to pick the second one. If we don't skip that, then we have to take the third. If we skip the third, then we do a parlay of the opposites. Go ahead, spin the wheel. Yep, pull the lever.
This first one better be from Rockets Warriors because I need to get something off my chest on that about this series.
That sound is incredibly loud in my ear. Okay, what do we have?
Draymond Green under 5.5 assists. And look, here's what I need to get off my chest on this series. I still think the Rockets are winning it. I still think the Rockets are going to win this game too, and probably win this thing in maybe 7. But I think they're going to win this thing. I don't believe that they're going to forget to play basketball for that long. By the way, this is minus 145 right now.
Yeah, under 5.5 assists, I think is a pretty good bet. Because the Rockets are going to slow things down. It's going to be physical. There's going to be a lot more of Steph Magic and Jimmy Butler ISOs than the typical bing, bong, boom kind of
right,
Warriors
they're not going to
offense.
suddenly double Steph.
Yeah. You know what? I'm with it, man. Let's take it. Even though we don't like taking unders.
We very rarely take unders, and we very rarely take the first bet. But I kind of like this. First of all, we know he's going to get a triple single.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about...
Well,
let's see what the next one is then.
Yeah, let's see what the next one would have been. We have like a little bit of time left.
We're taking Draymond under 5.5 assists, but let's just
that's
see.
Our official one, yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's so loud. Ooh. It's my boy Tyler Hero under 24.5 points. You know what? I'm glad we stuck with Draymond under because I think Tyler's going to blow up today.
Yeah, I think so too. They're still going to lose though. Sorry.
All right. That's fine. That's it for Oddball. I still think the Heat's going to make the series.